Michigan has a staff problem. As I like to always say on this channel, recruiting, while very important, is often an overrated element of the sport. And I think that you're seeing that more and more now with the game being shortened. There's less possessions, less plays. Therefore, sometimes quality depth doesn't matter as much as it would have pre-2023. And I think that, you want to expand on that further with the portal and NIL. Coaching matters even more because you need to make sure that the players you bring in and the players that you're paying will be productive to your culture, to your team. I just watched Miller Moss throw a pick to Wisconsin. Yeah, I'm watching that game while covering this because it's a big game. It's one that I gave a preview and prediction on. And what was frustrating about a game like this is the fact that you're Michigan, you're leading 24-3, end of the third quarter. Minnesota's driving, but you get the feeling that it's in garbage time already. And then what happens is on a 4th and 11, Mason Graham gets hands in the face, penalty, personal foul. He just kind of laughs it off. It's just is what it is. Got something in my nose here. And then Minnesota punches it in for a touchdown after picking up that first down conversion due to, well, a lack of discipline. And then it's 24-10. And as long as Michigan picks up a first down or a few or scores, it's still garbage time. But Michigan doesn't do that. Run, and that final run on 3rd and short was just a total lack of discipline, total bust by the Michigan offensive line. Credit to Minnesota's defensive line. Minnesota in this game held Michigan to 3.6 yards per carry and 155 rushing yards. And I think that's proof positive that, A, I think PJ Fleck can make adjustments, and I think Minnesota does have talent on defense, but more so, B, what Caleb Johnson is doing at Iowa is legendary. Caleb Johnson is a freak of nature. I mean, I think Khalil Mullings is very good. I think Donovan Edwards is good. I think Michigan has a good offensive line. But Iowa has a better pass offense than Michigan does, and they have a better running back than Michigan does. The translation to that is Iowa has a better offense than Michigan does. And Michigan's defense, while maybe more talented than Iowa's in some regards, is not nearly as well coached. Michigan is playing man ball and being willing to give up big plays and sending 0 blitzes late in the fourth quarter. I personally don't get it. I don't get it one bit. You look, and I'll show you some of these things in the box score relatively soon, but Michigan should have ended this game late in the third quarter. They couldn't. And some of it is the fact that they don't have much of an offense. So in no circumstance can they really be putting a game away. But then there are other instances where it's honestly on the defense or it's on the special teams unit. Special teams and defense looked really good in the first half. And then in the fourth quarter, the defense can't get a stop, and the special teams allows a near punt return for a touchdown. It's crazy. And a lot of this relates back to coaching. A lot of it does. Because you see the talent. Like, I'm watching Notre Dame right now. Granted, it's on this tiny laptop screen because I just subscribed to Peacock today. I'm watching Notre Dame. They're right now dominating Louisville, but this is the same team that got humiliated by Northern Illinois. They're not well coached. They have all this talent in the world, and if they were better coached, if they had a better head coach, better assistants, better coordinators, they're an actual top 10, top 5 team. And they're safe from these smaller teams, like the one they lost to. If Michigan had a better head coach, and I know that Sharon Moore is a first-year head coach, totally new to the gig, and Kurt Campbell is totally new to the gig, really at offensive coordinator. I don't have much of a problem with Sharon Moore being somewhat new to the gig, and I don't think that he's done a terrible job, though he certainly has not done an elite job either, which is the standard. But it's maddening watching this and then seeing how Maryland, for example, they don't give they didn't give up against Indiana, but Indiana just put the foot down, pedal to the metal, and they killed Maryland at the end of the game. They overcame turnovers, they overcame their own mistakes, and just gutted Maryland. Now, I don't know if Maryland's better than Minnesota or not. I don't think they're better than USC, for example. They may be worse and probably are than Wisconsin, but it doesn't matter that Maryland may be one of the worst teams in the Big Ten because Minnesota's not that far from that. And Minnesota had a chance to win this game in the fourth quarter. This is a Michigan team that has struggled all year to pass the football. Alex Orji went 10 of 18 for 86 yards, 4.8 yards per pass attempt, a touchdown and a pick. His interception gave Minnesota momentum, gave them life, but at the end of the day, Michigan's passing offense has been bad all season long. Why did the defense quit? It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't. The only thing that I can draw this back to is coaching. It's play calling. It's organization. It's development. This is not... I've watched Michigan lose nearly half of their team's production entering 2022. They were one of the most dominant teams in the country. I've watched Ohio State lose a massive amount of their production from 2020 to 2021. Started off very rough, not nearly this rough, and they finished as a top 5 team in America, top 10. And you've seen it all around the country. You looked at Nick Saban in Alabama in his final year there in 2023. They returned less than half of their production. They went 12-2, played in some close games, were rough early, but survived, advanced, and were well coached. And maybe Michigan can do something like that, but I don't think so. I don't. Oh, Notre Dame fumbled. Oh, just brief side note. I don't want Notre Dame to win, and I don't think they're that good. I think they're very much still overrated. You can't lose to Northern Illinois and be a top 10 team. That's not how this works. It isn't. I don't care how dominant you look in some other games. You can't do that. But anyway, we're talking about Michigan here. Thank you all for being on. I appreciate it a ton. We're just going to talk about this for an hour like we did after USC. I might be on again later tonight, but no promises, and I doubt it, so be surprised if I am. But this was just, it was not a good performance. I mean, Michigan did not look good in the trenches running the football. And defensively, the secondary toward the end of the game showed the same weaknesses that we saw against Fresno State, against Texas, against Arkansas State. You don't need to be a Michigan fan, an Ohio State fan, a Michigan State fan, whether you love Michigan or hate them, to see that this secondary has major issues. Same with the linebacker room, relative to the talent that Michigan has and the expectations. Now, I know that Will Johnson wasn't there, and I thought that the defense in the first half looked like potentially the nation's #1 defense with how they were playing. But A, they can't do it on their own, and B, Wink Martindale is... I don't know exactly what he's doing, but he is not putting this team in its best position to win. He is not. He isn't. And Kirk Campbell's certainly not doing that either. You all want to explain to me why Michigan on a second down, they just, run it twice, take a few extra seconds off the clock, they win the game at the end. Why are they motioning a receiver in? Why are you using eye candy? Everyone in the universe knows that you're going to run it unless you're an idiot. And if you pass it, well, Michigan doesn't have a passing attack, so will they even complete it if Minnesota zero blitzes and sells out like they did? It was just nonsensical. Why do you do that? Why do you do that? It didn't make any sense to me, that play call. Just shotgun or under center or whatever. Don't use any eye candy. Just run it forward or even take a long knee. I don't know. It was just, it was honestly, it was a damning indicator that Michigan is not going to be pulling away from anyone this year. Michigan, very high floor, very low ceiling unless something changes. Will they beat Washington? I can't tell you for certain. It's the same thing with every other team on the schedule. The only things I know for certain is that Michigan's not beating Ohio State. And the only other thing I know for certain is that I don't know how strong the Big Ten Conference is because I'm watching Wisconsin about to take a lead on USC. I watched Indiana just completely pancake Maryland and turn them into breakfast and probably feed it to Curt Cignetti, who could be an alien for all we know. And I don't know what's going to happen between Penn State and Illinois or Michigan State or Ohio State tonight or Oregon, UCLA. But this is a very chaotic season, and Michigan has the talent and has enough opportunities to make it into something, and they're not doing it, and that's not a sign of good coaching. It's very concerning. Ever since that Texas game, I've been saying 7-5, 8-4, 9-3. It's the same thing after this game. I thought that in this matchup against one of the easier opponents Michigan had for the remainder of the season, that Michigan could maybe show they're closer to 9-3, 10-2 than 7-5, 8-4. That's not the case here. I mean, Alex Orji did much better passing the ball than he did against USC. He had the one bad pick, but outside of that, he didn't have any turnover-worthy throw, and I thought did a respectable job. The issue is the offensive line still is not playing at that, 2021, 2023 level, like the level of the previous 3 seasons. They did against SC. They didn't in this game. They didn't against Fresno State or Texas, although I think Texas was just more so the fact that Texas's offense is amazing. They got TOP, and just Michigan was too one-dimensional to even have a chance to show off their strength against them. But we have a multiple game sample size. I mean, take a look at this, for example. I don't know if this will show up properly or not. No, it won't, but just hold on. Here we are. So take a look at this right here. So final score, Michigan 27, Minnesota 24. Brosmer 27 of 40 for 258 yards, 6.5 yards per pass attempt, a touchdown and a pick. Minnesota has a problem running the football to a much greater degree than Michigan does. They have a pretty big problem, actually, running the football. 2 games now against Iowa and against Michigan, they have ran for under 4 yards per carry. Darius Taylor has averaged under 4 yards per carry. They basically have Ariante Irsay at offensive tackle and not much else is basically what they have on the offensive line. And their passing offense, while it has some potential, is not great. It may not even be good. And still, Michigan struggled. I mean, look at these numbers here. 258 passing yards. Minnesota in some of their final drives, if you go to the play-by-play here, obviously they had several punts to start out the day. Michigan leads big, 21-0. Should have been 21-0 entering the half, but Michigan gave up a deep passing play. I mean, we've seen this over and over again. The secondary, for whatever reason, some of its newness. I think a lot of it, though, is coaching and the fact that Martindale just does not know how to be super conservative, which is a necessity. Especially like Hail Marys and garbage time, allowing your opponent to get garbage time drives. Like, don't let them score quickly. But you see here, 14 plays, 76 yards, 4 minutes, 59 seconds of possession. Then the next one, 3 plays, 17 yards, about a minute off the clock, and that was also with a massive punt return. And then the final touchdown, 14 plays, 75 yards, 2 minutes and 56 seconds off the clock. It was not a good performance whatsoever. It was very disappointing. Very, very discouraging in my mind. And then you go here all the way back to the Gamecast, and you can see starting off, it's a little rough, but Michigan is, gaining control. They're slowly constricting Minnesota, and then you think in the third quarter it's basically over, and then psych, nope, not one bit. And And that's because despite the fact that Michigan has the talent to be the best defense in the country, they do not have the coaching staff to be the number one defense in the country. They have a coaching staff that will put up impressive numbers, that will do some good things defensively, get sacks, get TFLs. Michigan had a lot of those today. But ultimately at the end, what they're going to do is, well, they're going to give up a few drives every game that make you think, what is going on? They're going to give up 3rd and long. Michigan, once again, allowed over 33% completion rate on 3rd down. And Minnesota went 2 of 2 on 4th down. Most of those passing. I mean, it is a defense that is not meant to be clutch. It's not. This defense is not designed, it's certainly not coached to carry a team to victory. They aren't. The one game they've had that performance so far was against USC. That is 1 out of 5 games. 20% of the time the defense comes up clutch. 20%. Offensively, well, Michigan couldn't run for more than 4 or 5 yards per carry, so you're not going to dominate opposing defenses. Michigan at least averaged over 5 yards per reception. Colston Loveland had 4 receptions for 41 yards. And again, going back to the defense, they had 5 sacks, 9 TFLs, 1 sack and 1 TFL, though, in the second half. So Minnesota made some adjustments. And I think also that for whatever reason, Wink Martindale, I don't know why he's blitzing so much. I don't know why he's going into man. I don't get it. I personally don't get it. It's the same thing with Kirk Campbell's play calling. I don't get it, personally. But that is just me, and maybe I'm complaining too much. But you got to play better. You have to. Don't make stupid penalties on 4th and 11. Don't have 5 penalties for 54 yards. Don't own the TOP battle and only win by 3. Don't, lead your number 1 tight end into Ethan Robinson to give him an interception and give Minnesota some momentum back. Don't give up several 3rd and longs because I don't even know what you're doing. Don't play terrible zone and don't send a 0 blitz on a critical conversion. Why are you doing that? It doesn't make any sense. It's honestly, to me, still reeks of the fact that this team and coaching staff don't fully trust each other yet. That's to me what that communicates. It was the same thing in the beginning of the year when they started Warren over Orji. And through 3 games, it's why are you starting Warren over Orji? It's clear he does not have the mobility to complement an offense that's clearly designed to ground and pound and not do much else. But they didn't trust Orji until they had to. And here I think it's similar. They don't trust the players until they have to. And I felt that way on the drive where after Minnesota came within a touchdown, Michigan marched down the field, burned 6 minutes, 30 seconds off the clock, 14 plays, 58 yards, and kicked a field goal. It's where was that? Where was that for the entirety of the second half? And then, if we're being honest here, Minnesota outgaining Michigan by 50 yards, 5 more first downs, executing a much more efficient offense. If the punt block unit is a second slower, if there isn't, that fumble that Daniel Jackson gives up and turnovers are kind of pretty random at times, well, we're talking about Minnesota upsetting Michigan after Iowa just humiliated them in their own house. It's not a good look. It's not a good look, not one bit. And I don't get it. I really, really am awe-inspired. I gotta be honest. And yeah. Is what it is. Oh crap, I don't even realize that I'm flipping tabs. Hold on a minute. Sorry guys for the setup here. Let me just change all of this really quickly. Yeah, look, come on. This doesn't make any sense. Oh, whatever. Just trash this. Go back in here. And if you guys have any questions, just send me a super chat. If you guys have any questions whatsoever. Just get all this out of here. It's just, yeah. Send over a super chat and I'll answer it. But geez, I mean, this was just, it was not a good look. It wasn't. And it was very, very, very frustrating to watch. I'm not going to lie. It was incredibly, incredibly frustrating. But yeah, the coaching staff changes, and of course the loss of key players like Josiah Stewart wasn't there, Will Johnson wasn't there. So to a certain degree, a win is a win, but at the end of the day, you got to play better. Don't give up a big lead like that. Wow. Wisconsin is beating USC despite the fact that USC is 14 minutes of possession and Wisconsin only has 3. That is crazy. But I mean, we're 20 minutes in, and I just basically gave you the rundown of the game. Honestly, I'm gonna keep on talking, but if you guys want to jump in here and ask me any questions, just send over a super chat, and we'll get things started. We'll get them rolling. But that was just, it was so embarrassing. I mean, 10 plays, 79 yards, 4 minutes, 57 seconds, the Kalel Mullings long touchdown run to start the game. And then after that, the offense didn't do much of anything, really, until that Dominic Savada 35-yard field goal drive. I mean, it's another game where Michigan is outgained on offense, on first downs, where they just barely control TOP because they run at a slower pace. I don't know what to tell you. I don't, other than the fact that this team is probably 7-5, 8-4, 9-3 at the very best. I mean, are they beating Washington? I mean, I would lean Michigan against Washington, but that's not saying much. Would they beat Illinois on the road? I got to see how Illinois looks tonight, but I'd lean Illinois right now. Michigan State could beat them because Michigan State has a potent passing attack when they don't throw picks, and they have a good defense. Michigan State, Oregon, I would pick as a lock to beat Michigan right now. It's same thing with Ohio State, and I'd lean Indiana to beat Michigan. Northwestern's probably the easiest scheme remaining on the schedule. I'd strongly lean Michigan there, but again, that's not saying much. Like 7-5, 8-4, 9-3 at the best. Like that's what this team is right now. It just is. And I said preseason, I said that anything worse than 9-3 is an automatic failure. 9-3, I just kind of feel uncomfortable, and it is what it is. And 10-2 or above, I would be happy. 10-2 right now is not possible. It's not, unless Michigan's defense and or passing offense shores up, and that is asking a lot currently from a coaching staff that clearly does not trust they trust their scheme more than Michigan's personnel. That's not a sign of good coaching. Not one bit. Not one bit. Not one bit. And I don't know. Just is what it is at this point, guys. But yeah. Okay, let me pop out the chat here. I'll answer questions that interest me. Super chats will get my attention. Yeah. I mean, think about it this way. If your team is like, you have the ball, you got fortunate that the onside kick was called offsides because otherwise Minnesota would have just driven down and scored. We all know how that would have happened. And what you do is you think we're gonna fool Minnesota into thinking that we're gonna pass on 2nd and 10 because things, and then it's nearly a bad snap that's a turnover. It's so incredibly ridiculous that I don't even know where to begin. If I'm being real, this is just, it's crazy. It's insanity. What are you doing there? And why was Minnesota able to just push you over to recover the onside kick? Like, is there no juice in this team? Is there absolutely no juice? Let me see. JW, Sam, do you expect Michigan to make another change at QB, or will Alex remain the starter for the rest of the season? He's got to remain the starter. He has to. I mean, Davis Warren is no better than Orji passing the football, and he doesn't have legs. So he can't be starting. Jack Tuttle, maybe he could be the best passer on the team, but he doesn't have the mobility that Orji does. I mean, Orji picked up 2 critical third downs with his legs today, running, and on plays that I don't even know if J.J. McCarthy could have picked up with his legs. He probably could have, but I don't know for certain. I mean, he has that ability to just, pick up 3rd and longs, and that's very critical with both his legs, and he also showed a little bit of his arm talent today. New O-line and new staff is never a good combination, says Chris Lane. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not one bit. Especially when all of your promotions are from in-house. Like, no outside hires. I mean, even Steve Kasula, the tight ends coach, he was only an outside hire because he had connections to the Michigan staff. I mean, the only good outside hire that Michigan made was Tony Alford. And you see that with how the team plays. The running backs have been, along with the tight ends, but that's because of Colston Loveland, the most consistent and best performing units of the entire season. It doesn't make any sense to me. Why all of the internal promotions? I know it was late in the season, but it's not like Michigan doesn't have resources. You have money. I mean, Ohio State poached Chip Kelly from UCLA to be their offensive coordinator. Are you going to tell me that Ohio State has like 50 times the resources that Michigan does? Of course not. It's ridiculous. It reeks of hubris. It reeks of, we're just gonna, do things the Michigan way with a twist, except the twist is poor adaptation. Poor adaptation. Doesn't make any sense. And thank you, Chris, for the $2. Thank you. It is so, this team's frustrating to watch. If I'm being honest, like, at least they win the close games, but it's frustrating to watch. It is. And then from a non-fan angle, they're not a top 15 team. And if they are, then this is a very weak year in college football. Very weak year. By the way, if you guys haven't already, please like the stream, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you can get notified when I go live in the future and when I release videos. I'm going to be cutting down on the live streams again. There will be updates on that, but we won't be going live Monday and Wednesday. I need to cut down on the stuff that I'm trying to do, and lives they aren't as profitable. They don't make as much money. They don't get as much engagement. Like, it's better to just make videos, if I'm being honest. But I like doing these after Michigan games because it adds a little bit of like a personal angle. Like, Michigan is my team, and this is Michigan's worst team easily since 2020. If you don't count the COVID year, I don't know if this team's better than the 2019 team or not. I mean, 2019 was an incredibly strong year in football. You had 19 OSU, 19 LSU, and that was an amazing catch. Who was that? I think that was Bryson Green. Amazing catch for Wisconsin. They may take a 21-10 lead. And if USC wins this game, then the entire Big Ten outside of like, well, I'm not going to go that far. But if USC wins, if USC loses this game, then it is in truth Ohio State's conference. Wow. Oh boy. Doesn't look good right now if you're a Trojan. But anyway, thank you, Chris, again for the $2 super chat. Maybe I'm ranting, but I don't think I am. I think I'm being pretty reasonable here. I mean, Wolvergeek, thank you for the $2 super chat. I think you put it well. The fourth quarter collapses need to end. They have to. What's up with secondary players or linebackers always being out of position? What's up with this lack of energy, like Michigan easily being fatigued on defense? What's up with that? What's up with Michigan's offensive line looking really good and then suddenly just imploding under their own weight? Why? It's a mystery to me. It's a total mystery. I don't know what to tell you. I don't. Outside of the fact that the only path for Michigan to have any success this year is to just win a bunch of close games. That's all they can hope for. All they can hope for here is just winning a bunch of close games. You know, beat Washington close on the road and then beat Illinois competitively. Beat Michigan State in a competitive game. Hope that you can have a Michigan versus USC-esque performance against Oregon because Oregon still has some vulnerabilities. They do. And then hope that you can beat everyone but Ohio State so that when you lose to Ohio State, you can reach the college football playoff. I mean, with Ole Miss, wow, Michigan may not even be top 25, guys. I'm saying that because Wisconsin just took an 11-point lead over USC, and they're doing to SC what Michigan did. It's a lot of big plays. Wisconsin, obviously, with a much better passing offense than Michigan, so they're gashing you. LSU may not even be top 25. I mean, Wisconsin's looking a lot better than LSU right now, but that also is a testament to probably how good Alabama is. I mean, Fickell, I gave Fickell a coaching edge in that preview and prediction, and you're seeing it right now. They have like a quarter of the TOP that USC does with more than double the points. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I mean, Michigan, fourth quarter collapses aren't good. Chris Lane says at least they haven't lost in these collapses. It's true. I mean, they've held on. They aren't total choke artists, but they flirt with being total choke artists, and that's horrible because you're not going to beat Oregon or Ohio State doing that. And the only way the season can be successful at all, given the fact that Michigan is closer to Ohio State as a program than they are to even like Oregon in terms of history, and like in expectations, Michigan's up there with, you know, Oregon, Ohio State. They may even have higher expectations than Penn State, and their expectations are really high, as they should be. Not beating any of the good teams you play means your season is not a success and is very much likely a failure. And that's not good enough. It isn't. It's not good enough. Alabama last year was not even top 4. They were not a top 4 team in power ratings. They were not objectively a top 4 team. We can pretend that they were, but they weren't. They didn't have a top 5 defense. Their offense relied on... Their offense was the epitome of we out-recruit you, so we'll beat you. Their coaching on offense sucked. They went 12-2. They beat Georgia, who was a top 5, top 4 team in power ratings. At times looked like the best team in the country. They housed LSU, housed them in Bryant-Denny Stadium, and they were able to string together a few wins that on a different day they maybe don't, and it doesn't look like Michigan's capable of doing that. Chimichanga guy, how will Michigan react when they're down a couple scores in the fourth? Can their offense do anything? No. I'll give you the answer to what is probably a rhetorical question. No. They cannot. They cannot. They can't. They can't do anything. Seriously. What are they going to do? Like, we're going to pass to Donovan Edwards out of the backfield for like 5 yards, and that's how we're going to get down in a 2-minute drill? Or we're going to rely on Khalil Mullings, who's one of the better running backs in the country, to break several tackles again to get down? You can't. You can't do it. Michigan has to play either with the lead or only down by a score to stay in games, barring, a miracle. And it's just, it can't even express how, honestly, like, it's not impressive. It's disappointing. There are teams right now, like Iowa. Iowa's better than Michigan right now. Now, they returned a lot, yes, which helps. But Michigan's still more talented than they are recruiting-wise. Michigan has more resources. There's a team in, how do I put that? There's a team in Alabama who only returned 50% of their production, factoring incoming transfers. They could be the number 1 team in all of college football. There is a team in Miami who is about as talented as Michigan. I know they returned a lot, and they do have a Heisman quarterback, but they don't have the defense that Michigan does. They don't even have close to the talent Michigan has on defense, on the D-line. They look better. They're 5-0. They haven't played the schedule that Michigan has, but there are just so many teams that are better coached and more effective and efficient than Michigan is right now. Oh yeah. If you want to support the channel in a different way outside of Super Chats or the Patreon page, the merchandise store offers some really good t-shirts that I wear on. I wear those t-shirts in all of my videos except for these when I react to Michigan games, where I try and wear something Michigan themed. Ooh, nice catch. I think that was by Jacoby Lane. Nice catch. But wow. Yeah, if you want to check out the merch store or the Patreon page, and also join our Discord server. I keep forgetting this, but join the Discord server. It's so easy to join the Discord server. All you need is to click this link right here. I'm going to pin this because I want as many of you to join the Discord server as possible. All you need to do is click this link that I'm posting in the chat right now, and there you go. Click it, and you can join the Discord. But man, oh man, what an escape for Michigan. That's really what I have to say. What an escape. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Michigan is outgained by 55 yards. If not for one of the turnovers or a blocked punt that Michigan had, well, they lose. If not for the onside kick being called offsides, they lose. I mean, Michigan should have lost this game. And it's hilarious because at the same time in saying that, oh my gosh, Wisconsin got another turnover. They're about to be up 28-10. Wow. Wow. The Big Ten's chaotic. Now, what I will say is I enjoy Indiana. Like, Indiana's a tough team. Indiana's well coached. That right there is why I say recruiting, while important, is so flipping overvalued. It is. I mean, people will tell you that if you recruit, like, think about Miami, for example. I was contemplating last night before Miami versus Virginia Tech that maybe Miami is a national title contender. Like, if they were to blow out Virginia Tech on a Friday night with a short week to prepare, and Virginia Tech does have some players, they were just blow them out. That could be an indicator that, okay, 5 blowouts in a row, this could be a legit team even though they're playing no one. No. Baloney. They play Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, or Texas in particular the Longhorns, Tide, and Bulldogs, maybe even the Volunteers too, they get annihilated. They're torn in half, like in Deadpool 2 when Juggernaut takes Deadpool and just rips him in half. That's what happens. That's what happens. And that is a team that recruits well, that has athletes and talent everywhere, but their coaching holds them back. And with Michigan, especially, because they don't have all these athletes, you got to be well coached to win games. I mean, Ohio State returns more than Michigan does, but I'll tell you right now, Ohio State's very much better coached than Michigan is. Very much better coached. They played a much easier strength of schedule, but they're better coached. They are. They're not making dumb play calls. And their defense, while having some vulnerabilities, at least they have players on offense, and they've developed wide receiver. Like they've recruited well, but recruiting well is just like a small part of the puzzle. Recruiting is just like vitamins. Like a guy who takes the perfect amount of supplements and vitamins but doesn't do anything with his body is just as useless as the guy who supplements himself with potato chips instead of vitamin D and vitamin C. What matters is action. What you do with what you have. And Ohio State, every year under Day, has overall done a pretty good job with what they have. Not perfect, not to the standard all the time, but overall pretty good. That's why I don't like Ryan Day slander. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. He's more efficient with the talent that he has than Urban Meyer was. No blowout losses to Iowa. No blowout losses to Purdue. Maybe that'll change tonight, but I don't think Ohio State's losing to Michigan State. And I don't know. It's crazy. And I see some people saying, did Vatek really lose last night? Yes, because the calls are not always going to go your way. Virginia Tech should not have choked a 10-point lead that they have when they had all the momentum. They shouldn't have. But they did. It's just the reality of things. And yet Miami, they had a call go their way. But ultimately, the ball doesn't lie. Famous saying. And if that game isn't a one-off for Miami, they're going to lose to someone else. They could lose to Louisville. They could maybe lose to Syracuse. Or maybe they go 12-0 in the regular season and Clemson kills them in the ACC title game. Or maybe they go 13-0. And then with no opt-outs, they look exactly like how Florida State did against Georgia in the Orange Bowl. And they just get humiliated in the playoffs. But, I mean, that's the only analysis you're going to get out of me. And I'll take notes, dive deeper, think more clearly, probably rewatch some highlights, maybe, but just, it's, Michigan is an opportunity in the Big Ten. That's really the point here. This conference is maybe not even stronger than it was last year, despite having more teams. I mean, think about it this way. Penn State right now is an efficiency monster on offense, but their defense has a little bit of suspect issues. Ohio State hasn't played anyone, and their short run defense is very vulnerable, but they look elite. Let's say that Ohio State takes the place of 2023 Michigan for the 2024 season, or maybe they're a little bit worse. Let's say Penn State is, Ohio State, because I think they're clearly the number 2 team in the Big Ten, but not number 1 yet. They have more to prove. And then you got Oregon. And I think Oregon's kind of a little bit like Penn State last year, where talent and an offense that's very much like Penn State's defense last year, where they're very explosive, is going to get them to beat all of the bad opponents. But how will they do against Ohio State? I don't know. I wouldn't pick them to play Ohio State within 10 points right now. I couldn't, based off of what I've seen in their 3 games thus far. And how would they play against Penn State if they faced Penn State? Penn State would probably drive up and down the field on them. So Michigan has an opportunity here. They have an opportunity to be top 4 in the conference, maybe top 3 if some balls bounce their way, and they're doing anything but taking advantage of it. So if you're an Indiana fan, if you're an Illinois fan, if you're a fan of one of these schools that's not at Ohio State, Penn State, or Oregon's level, and you're winning, well, good for you. Rutgers is another team where they with their schedule, if they win a bunch of close games, they can reach the playoff. They can partake in Indianapolis, and all of those good things. Oh my goodness, y'all. North Carolina is winning 10-0 right now. Their defense is actually stopping someone. Let me see this. Let me see this. And then after I check out this, and if you have any more super chats, please send them in. But if not, we'll be getting on out of here because I got to edit for all the reaction and analysis videos and just do different things. Oh, they're beating Duke. Well, I picked Duke to win and cover. Yikes. This season has not been as good as last season has in terms of like my picks and accuracy, but that may change. I mean, based off of what I'm seeing from USC and Wisconsin, my preseason assessment of USC is pretty spot on. Their schedule's just a lot easier than I thought it would be. Aleem Habib, thank you for the $5 super chat. If we don't get better at second half adjustments, we will get mauled by MSU, Oregon, Illinois, OSU, and 7-5 or 6-6. They are all better coached. Yeah, add an Indiana there. Michigan State, I don't know if we'd get mauled by them. Oregon and Ohio State for sure. Illinois and Indiana, maybe. But Michigan could certainly lose to Washington. They could certainly lose to Michigan State. I mean, 6-6 is ironically in the cards here. It's the same thing with 7-5. 8-4, 9-3 is probably the ceiling that you're looking at currently. Thank you, Aleem Habib, with the $5 super chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate it a lot. Yeah. Thank you, guys. What a game. What a game indeed. What a game. What a Saturday so far. And it's only getting started because the best games are at 7:30. The best games are in just over 2 hours from now. So, unless you guys have anything else to tell me, I'll be getting off here pretty shortly. Texas is also struggling with Mississippi State. Really? Let me check that out. Well, if they're starting Arch Manning, that may not... what happened? Did they miss a field goal or something? You see, no, they had a turnover. And Mississippi State, man, has been dominating TOP. What's that about? Wow. Oh, well. Texas will come out on top. Texas is better coached than I thought they would be, which explains why they're doing so well, because Texas has had the talent for several years under Steve Sarkisian to have success. And I think this year they're better coached than they ever have been, and they have more returning production and a more stacked roster than they ever have been. So everything kind of came together. Michigan is the new Iowa, says DeMoney5675. Bingo. It's exactly the case. Someone said Iowa versus OSU prediction. You'll see that early this coming week. It's going to be one of the first games that I give a preview and prediction for. Thank you all for coming on. I am going to get off because I can sense myself getting a little bit tired, and I don't want to exhaust any more of my energy or create a bad experience for you all. So thank you so much for coming on. I'll see you guys soon. Again, join the Discord server if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to the Patreon page. do all those things. They're all via the link in the description. All of them are in the link via the description. Just look at the video description and you'll see them. Have a great day, and I will see you all soon. Go Blue, go Buckeyes, go Green, go White, go Hoosiers, go Big Ten. I'm rooting for the Big Ten. So, best